It was something else, I must admit. I watched almost every bit of it.
So did I.
Since last Friday. Did you, Simon?
I've become a convert.
The Ryder Cup, my God,
expert.
it was incredible. And Europe retained the Ryder Cup last night in spite of an almighty collapse. It almost allowed the US to pull off what would have been an extraordinary comeback. Only 2.5 points from a possible 12 were needed to retain the trophy. And then came a near disastrous collapse in the singles, but Europe claimed a 15-13 win. I mean, Simon, I cannot remember being on the edge of my seat watching a sporting event for such a lengthy period of time and thinking, I still don't know how this is going to work out.
Oh, well, listen, I don't think it was a collapse. I think the Americans massively upped their game. And if you look at the reality of the foursomes that seem to have not worked well for them, when they got into playing individually, they were much better. I think they played, as much as Europe played brilliant in the first 2 days and the first 3 sessions, the Americans played really well in the last session. And they managed, it's like being, can you imagine being 6-0, 6-0 and 5-0 up, and someone comes back to bring it back to 5-1 and still loses 7-5. The Americans still lost. It doesn't matter how much they huffed and puffed and how close they got to the line. Yeah. They lost.
They will hate that this morning, won't they? I mean, you've lived there. How is there a greater sporting satisfaction than handing it to the Americans in their own backyard?
Certain Americans, yeah, like Bryson DeChambeau. I mean, I would like to hand it to him forcefully. I mean, I don't think I've ever watched a golfer and been so irritated with DeChambeau, not just because of the situation with Justin Rose the previous day, but also the attitude when he was on the march. Okay, he was hitting the skin out of everything.
Martin, did you take it in?
Yes, yeah. I watched the last bit of it. Yeah, it was terrific stuff, you know. And it's interesting, you know, when Shane Lowry actually finally sinks that putt for them to that was them to retain the trophy at that particular stage. He said in an interview afterwards, he has won the Open, and yet he thought that the Ryder Cup meant more to him.
Yeah,
that is extraordinary. It has become an incredible event, really. And when you think of way back quite some years ago, when Rory McIlroy actually said, no, he said golf's an individual game. He said, I've got no real time for the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
How his attitude has changed as well too. Not just his attitude.
It was nice for Shane Lowry though, wasn't it? Because Shane Lowry always seems to travel to some extent in Rory McIlroy's slipstream. Even when they're playing the Masters and they're asking Shane Lowry about Rory McIlroy, and he's going, I'm still playing.
Yeah.
You know, what are you asking me for?
Yeah. So you're telling us this morning you actually felt patriotic about Europe?
No, I didn't feel patriotic. I felt committed to the cause.
Oh,
there's a difference.
To the cause.
The common denominator of beating the Yanks.
I'm sorry I didn't hear this before, but Jim said to me just before we got on air, he said that you weren't totally in love with the Ryder Cup because they included Scotsmen and Irishmen in it.
No, I didn't bring Irish into it. I said Scots.
Oh, did you?
Happy with the Irish.
Oh, fine. You're happy.
But what I said was, I'm not I don't feel myself as a European.
All right.
I don't walk around saying, "Hey, I'm a European. I better be patriotic to the blue and yellow stars."
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get that.
What about Luke Donald, though? When you look at it, 4 Ryder Cup wins out of 4 as a player, and he becomes just the second European captain after Tony Jacklin to lead his team to win both home and away matches. Luke Donald. This was Luke.
But this means a lot, obviously, to me and the team. We came here knowing that the task was going to be very difficult. Couldn't be more proud of these guys, what they've gone through, how they come together, how they're playing for history, how they're playing for the people who came before them, and now they'll be talked for generations to come now as someone that will go down in history, and couldn't be more proud.
There's a bit of dignity, Simon, isn't there?
Sure. It's often easy to be dignified in victory, isn't it? It's equally as important to be dignified in loss. I mean, the Americans bottled it. No two ways about it. They bottled it. And I think all their hysteria and all of the aggressive sledging or fan behaviour potentially backfired on them. Because
they damn near caught the Europeans, though, Simon. They damn near caught them.
They didn't know, did they?
No, they didn't.
Damn near doesn't make any difference.
No, true.
In the margins of time, we won't remember the fact that they had a very good last day. They lost 3 of the 4 sessions. That's unheard of for an away team to go and compete in that way and to do what the European team did to them.
Historically
in their
speaking,
face.
I don't think they're that brilliant in the foursomes, are they? America, you know. So
no,
they've. I might be wrong about that there, but certainly 2 years ago they were very poor.
But I think the story of it, Martin, was we won't look back in the first 2 days, Simon, and think of such dominance when the 4s were out, when it was 2 against 2. But we'll look back on this as Europe just making it 15-13.
But that's wrong. That's not right to do that.
That's the story of it.
Yeah, but that's the way the media want to represent it, or the way that the sensationalism side of things.
But that's the case. It is, because I agree with Jim. Absolutely, because it was 15-13. People think that was close, and for for about 25 minutes. It was.
But that's
incredibly close.
I don't know what you thought when I was reading all the press.
If Shane Lowry doesn't make that putt,
They're in trouble.
they are
But he
in
did.
trouble.
They did, and if Justin Rose hadn't been unlucky on the last hole, and the fellow that he was playing against hadn't holed out and had lost 3 holes in a row, if Tommy Fleetwood hadn't played as brilliant as he did and got done on the last hole, these things happen.
I don't know how you can frame it that the Americans bottled it.
No.
What,
Far from
for the first 3? No. What they
if they'd lost the first 3 singles matches and we'd won it, that's a bottle job.
No, Jim. The event was predetermined after the first 2 days. The Americans had to, the embarrassment. I read all the British press on Sunday morning and I thought, we're going a bit too hard with this about record scores. And also Ollie Holt, who I like very much, and a few of the other journalists went hell for leather about the disgraceful conduct of the American supporters, compared the foursomes to the team that picked Phil Mickelson and Tiger Woods in 2004, which was a toxic partnership that never worked and created a bad result then. And so we had written their obituary. So you knew that in their backyard they were going to come out and fight. That's the least they could do after all their mouth and trousers.
It's the least they
after
could
running
do.
up the 18th hole with Keegan Bradley holding a US flag. It was the least they could do.
But I don't think people expected that Aberg was the only one. It was the only European to win.
Of course,
to win a game. That's extraordinary.
We went into the final day 11.5, 4.5.
Absolutely,
it was done.
It was,
but it wasn't. That's the thing. It wasn't done. And 15-13, I think, is the scoreline that they will remember. I don't think. Well, are many of you out there?
How did Bob McIntyre do?
Bottled it.
Bob McIntyre misses a 4-foot putt.
Bob McIntyre got half a point at the end.
Just about.
Bob McIntyre, don't you point
just about.
Bob McIntyre.
If he'd have sunk that 4-foot putt, everything else would have fallen into place, but he didn't.
More than played his part. But let's go with it. Is Simon right? Did the Americans bottle it? Or were you like me, frightened to death that they damn near were going to win it? 03717 223344. And what about the behaviour of the crowd? We'll get to some of that shortly. 03717 223344 81089. The morning after the night before, Europe won the Ryder Cup.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.